everyone. Welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is AMC Movie News production manager, Dennis Zen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of AMC Movie Talk. I'm glad you could join us today. It's a bit of a slow news day, so we're going to do 3 buy and sells and 4 mailbags, and then we're going to take your live viewer questions.
Also, your entertainment reporter for Fandango, Trey Alexander.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for being on the show.
Hey, man.
Also here, writer for Screen Rant, David Griffin.
Hey, please, thanks for having me. This is great. I love being in this new studio. It's huge. It's so much different than the old AMC studios. Just really glad to be here.
A couple of days ago, we got our first good look at Dane DeHaan as Green Goblin. Now, Entertainment Weekly has released more pictures from The Amazing Spider-Man 2, showing off Green Goblin's glider and Rhino's armor suit. Dennis, buy or sell these new images?
I buy them. I like the look of this new Green Goblin, especially compared to the Sam Raimi one, where it had like a metal mask in front of his face, but you couldn't see any expression. It was kind of dull. I like looking at the glider. What I like about seeing like these pictures are, in the trailer, everything's moving really, really fast. So you can't see the detail that they're putting in the costume, the glider. You see Rhino's mech suit. You do see like a little glaring weak spot on Rhino's mech suit there. Hopefully it's like a nice bulletproof glass or something like that. So what do you think of these pictures, David?
I'm definitely going to buy them. They look good. It's just that, you know, with all this press release, I just kind of wish we wouldn't get so much information. You know, it almost seems like we know the movie already, but it looks great. I'm excited to see Paul Giamatti as Rhino. I think that's my personal pick. That's why I'm picking this, because he's just such a great actor, one of my favorite actors, and I just love seeing him in that suit. I think the suit looks good. Like I said, it's got a little more of the realistic vibe as opposed to Sam Raimi's more comic booky style, but yeah, it looks great.
All right, Trey?
I buy. I'm a buyer. Look, you know what? On purpose, I've tried to kind of peel myself back a little bit so that I'm surprised when I see cool stuff, and I dig it, man. This whole movie is so kick-ass, and look. I think that when you look at Electro, you know, Jamie Foxx, you better keep up with that look, that kick-assness. And I think this falls in line. So I'm excited, man. I buy it all day long.
There's a lot of people complaining, like you said, about they're showing too much with these trailers and these pictures. And I can understand where people are coming from, but personally, I just can't get enough of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 stuff.
Yeah, it looks great. I just, you know, so many trailers, so many featurettes all the time, and Marvel is bombarding us with, Sony, I should say, sorry, Sony Pictures is bombarding us with Marvel, with all this advertisement, and I can't wait to see it, but I am, like he said, trying to just hold back a little bit so I have something, you know, to see when I go to the theater.
I don't want to have I don't want to have that expectation. You know what I mean? I want to be like surprised a little bit. You know, you don't want to go in there going, "Oh, I knew I was going to see this." You know,
I don't want to know how a scene's going to develop. I want it to, you know, just kind of come at me. But you know, we're in this industry, we're in this business. You know, we check out all these photos and videos. You know, because we do. But sometimes, you know, I just don't want to be spoiled.
All right, Ashley, what's next?
A new trailer has been released for The Purge Anarchy, the sequel to last year's surprise box office hit thriller. If you haven't seen the first one, both movies revolve around an event called The Purge, which for one night a year all crime is legal, including murder, and is used as a way to keep society more civilized the rest of the time. The movie stars Frank Grillo, Michael K. Williams, and Zach Gilford. Trey, buy or sell this new trailer?
I'm sorry, I'm selling. I'm selling because it reminds me of The Punisher. Frank Grillo looks like The Punisher. He's driving this tricked out car, coming out with guns ablazing, and then the whole idea in the trailer of the rich bidding on the poor to shoot them. How many times? I just feel like that's been overdone. So I'm not excited by the storyline. I just think we've seen it before multiple times, and the original Purge was so good. And it was just, you know, it was a little small film that nobody expected anything from, and it just blew people away. And I was hoping that it would be an Ethan Hawke kind of, they would just continue where they left off in the first one, because I thought it ended kind of, you know, a little bit of a cliffhanger there.
I'm going to go the opposite of you. I'm going to buy the trailer despite not liking the first movie. I thought the concept was interesting and cool. I didn't think it was executed very well. Also, that one was done in one location. This one has a bigger scope to it. I do agree Frank Grillo does look like the Punisher in it, but I kind of like that. I kind of dug that. And I like that there's multiple storylines. I like the actors. Frank Grillo, you know, we know him from Warrior. He's in the new Captain America movie.
Yep.
Michael Kenneth Williams from The Wire and Boardwalk Empire is in it, and Zach Gilford from Friday Night Lights, which I really like.
Sure.
So even though I didn't like the first movie, I'm actually looking forward to this one. David?
Okay, so unlike Dennis and unlike Trey, I haven't seen The Purge, but I'm gonna buy the trailer because I like the way it looks. I like its style. I love, you know, the music. I'll save you, I won't sing it, you know, going in the background. I like the feel of it. I like that there's this idea that, like, you know, law is just suspended for one whole night. Everybody can just go crazy and do whatever they want, as kind of as sick and weird as that is. It looks entertaining, but again, I have no history with the franchise, so I guess I got to go check out Purge, the first one, and then see this one. But I'm going to buy the trailer. I like it.
All right. Ashley, what's next?
The U.S. trailer has debuted for Night Moves, a Kelly Reichardt film starring Jesse Eisenberg, Dakota Fanning, and Peter Sarsgaard. The trio play radical environmentalists that plot together to blow up a dam. David, what do you think of the trailer?
I'm going to have to sell the trailer. Peter Sarsgaard is one of my favorite actors. He's so good. Jesse Eisenberg, of course. Hey, he's our new. He's gonna be in Superman vs. Batman. You know, he's our new Lex Luthor. Great actor. But these indie films, the trailers, they're hard to get into because the trailers don't always show much, and that's, you know, just the genre of indie films, and it's fine. But I need to see more. Like, you know, there's always these scenes with, you know, Jesse like kind of crying and it's gonna emotional. I'm sure there'll be great performances by both actors. But I'm gonna have to sell the trailer because I didn't think it didn't give me enough.
I'm gonna sell this trailer as well for the same reasons, because they aren't showing enough. It's the opposite complaint of like Amazing Spider-Man 2. They're showing us too much. This is way too little. And I'm all for trying to keep secrets, but it's very vague what they're talking about, who the characters are. I'm not saying the movie's not going to be good. I'm just saying show a little bit more to get us more interested in it. And I really like the cast too. So
yeah.
Trey?
I guess I'm going the opposite way with you guys. But that's okay though, all right? You know, a little counter. For me, I agree with what you guys are saying in the terms of it being vague, but that kind of interests me, you know, because I felt like the trailer was building some tension. Just from the beginning and how they kind of all came together, you knew that they were going to try to pull off something. And the first thing that it reminded me of, as sick as this may be, is it reminded me of when you know, the Oklahoma bombing. You know, when they pulled the truck up, I don't know, that was the first thing that came to mind. Now that hurt a lot of people. I don't know if that's the intention here, but just how that all took place. You know, how did you know, Timothy McVeigh plan that? And that's first what was going through my head, and I'm going, wow, how are they planning this? How are they getting away with this? You know, so that's what was going through my sick head. Sorry.
All right, guys. So now we're on to the mailbag portion. Before we get to that, remember we're answering live questions. You can tweet us at AMC Movie News, and Ashley will bring up those questions later on in the show. So for the mailbag, what do we got, Ashley?
B Driver 0616 writes, "Greetings AMC movie crew. I rarely find a game that can have a rich story that can translate good onto the big screen. I love the Dead Space and Alan Wake franchises. They both have great characters with a rich background. How well do you think these games do on the big screens, and what actors do you think should play either Isaac or Alan? Thanks, and keep bringing on the filthy."
I personally haven't played Dead Space, but Alan Wake is actually one of my favorite franchises. Could it be a movie? I don't think so, just because it wasn't even that popular of a video game franchise. I loved it, and it's like a cult hit, but if you're not even that popular on the video game platform, I don't know if that's going to transition to the movies. As far as who's going to play Alan Wake, I think this guy's a little bit older than I like, but I think he fits the vibe perfectly. Is Dylan McDermott? Yeah, from American Horror Story. I always get him and Dilril Mulrooney mixed up. But
me too. Dilril Mulrooney or whatever. Right.
But he has the look of Alan Wake. He also has kind of like a little arrogant vibe to him, but with a tortured kind of good person down below. So that's who I'd cast. David, did you play either of these games?
Yes, I guess I especially want to focus on Dead Space for me personally. For those of you who don't know, Dead Space is about a character named Isaac Clarke, who's an engineer, goes to deep space and uncovers this thing called the Marker. And there's also this like religious group called the Unitologists, you know, that worship this marker and believe this marker is going to bring humanity into this next level of evolution. And all these monsters come out of nowhere. It's great sci-fi horror. Reminds me a lot of Aliens, especially like Ridley Scott's version of that. But there's also some action, so you could pull in some action. It would make a great film. It's going to be tough to pull off, though. I mean, video games, they don't have a great history. Video game adaptations to film don't always do the best. You know, I mean, Doom, you know? I mean, you know, just saying,
But,
you know, it's
but I
tough.
think the thing is, though, I always remind people, yeah, now, but remember, comic book movies didn't make that
True,
great of adaptations in the beginning. I mean,
Yeah,
you had Superman or whatever, you had Batman, but they were very sparse, and people weren't, I mean, come on, the original Fantastic Four, do you remember that one?
Yeah.
The Roger Corman one? It was terrible. It was
So
terrible.
bad nobody saw it.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think once people take video game adaptations seriously, they put the money, you get the talent behind it, they will be good. So
Right.
I see that translation happening, I don't know how soon, but within the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to start seeing much better video game adaptations. Trey, what do you think about these two
I think, well,
franchises?
I haven't played either one, but I do know the stories. And I'd have to say that, you know, with Dead Space, I think we could pull it off. I think the technology's there. It's just that we don't want to overdo it with too much CGI. Kind of like what happened with I, Frankenstein. That was an absolute disaster because it looked like a video game. Right. You know, it went from comic book.
There was a lot of things wrong with that movie.
Yes, but I'm just saying the look of it. You know,
Yeah.
we're talking about the look of it.
Right.
But I think, you know, Dead Space is one of these movies where I think we could get that right because we've dealt with that kind of subject matter before. And I don't think you need to put a star in there. You can kind of go with some up and comers. I think that if you did put a star in there, it might ruin it.
Right, if you don't mind going off what you're saying, like Judge Dredd. I mean, even though Carl Urban is, I would consider him a star now. He's getting a little more famous, but Isaac Clarke, like Judge Dredd, has a helmet on most of the time. He's an engineer. He wears this big engineer suit. Part of the whole fun of the game is being able to customize your suit and get different suits. So he's a guy who could be like Carl Urban in Dredd, a guy under a mask the whole time. You wouldn't necessarily have to have a huge star.
Yeah.
Look, even though I haven't played Dead Space, I see it more likely as being a movie just because the fact that it's much more popular. I mean, Dead Space is more known amongst the video game community than Alan Wake. Alan Wake was only on the Xbox 360, and it, you know, I think it's sold.
The second one ended up being a arcade.
a DLC.
DLC, right? Yeah.
So yeah, I think Dead Space is more likely to happen. Right. All right, Ashley, what's next?
Sal Denoto writes, "Greetings and salutations, AMC Movie Talk crew. I hope all is well. I was wondering, with Fox working with time travel in DOFP, and that leading into X-Men Apocalypse, which I would imagine will be due to the cause of the time travel in DOFP, is it possible Fox will use time travel in Apocalypse that'll alter things again and maybe make the next Wolverine film Old Man Logan? I know they don't have the movie rights for Hulk, but maybe they could replace the role with one of the powerhouses they own, like The Thing, Juggernaut, Colossus, etc., and separate the territories to villains they own. Is this possible, or am I just kidding myself? Thanks for your time."
I would love to see an Old Man Logan movie. It's actually one of my favorite comic book storylines that I've read. I don't think it's going to happen, though, because for a couple reasons. One, like Sal said, they don't have the rights to most of the main. I mean, they have Wolverine, right? But then they don't have Hawkeye, who's like kind of the sidekick, the best friend sidekick in it, and you don't have the rights to the Hulk. You don't have the rights to Red Skull. You don't have the rights to a bunch of other characters that they would use in it. So that's one reason. Then two, I know they're going off with the Days of Future Past and with X-Men Apocalypse, and it is kind of like a variant of it. But I think Old Man Logan is too far out there. I think it would change things up so much. I think people would be confused. So I'd love to see one. I don't think it's going to happen, though. What do you think, David?
Yeah, I think that's a great question to ask. I think it would be a perfect movie. This is by Mark Millar, who does Kick-Ass and Civil War, just some great arcs on for Marvel. And I think it'd be great for Hugh Jackman to go out on, because I'm starting to call him Old Man Jackman, even though like Hugh Jackman, not to pick on him. Like the guy, dude looks great. I mean, he's ripped. He gets bigger with like every movie he makes. I don't know what he's taking, but dude's working out, looks good. But at the same time, it's like he is getting older, and I'd like to see Wolverine recast. I would love for this franchise, as much as I want to see an Age of Apocalypse movie, reboot. So Old Man Wolverine doing that, you know, almost an homage to Hugh Jackman, like let him kind of retire from this role that he's been playing for 13 years now.
Okay. All right, Ashley, what's next?
Well, Pryor writes, "Hi guys, love the show. You should all replace the United Nations. Now, which would you rather do? Watch Batman and Robin 3 times or Star Wars The Phantom Menace 3 times? Keep bringing on the awesome filthy."
Okay, this is an easy one. This is an easy one. I'd rather see Phantom Menace 3 times.
Okay.
We criticize the Star Wars prequel a lot on AMC Movie Talk, especially Phantom Menace. However, it doesn't, to me, it's not a good movie. There's flaws in it, but there are redeeming qualities. Something like Batman and Robin is like an all-time bad movie.
Right.
One of the worst movies ever made.
Right.
Ever made. So I don't put the prequels in that category. As much as we talk bad about them,
right,
they are not in that level. So I definitely would see Phantom Menace 3 times instead.
Go ahead. Yeah, no, David, please.
I was gonna say I love Darth Maul. He's one of my favorite characters, you know, that they've created in Star Wars. So those fight sequences alone, the fight choreography is so top notch. I mean, I would go see it just for that. And also the pod race was fun, and getting to see Yoda, even though he's CG Yoda, it looks a little different. I mean, just seeing those characters, being in that world again, is a world I'd rather be in than being in the Batman and Robin world. That's not the world I want to be in.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to give you an argument for Batman and Robin, only because I agree that it is one of the worst movies of all time. So why not make a drinking game out of it? So you could see it 3 times, okay, with friends at different times over a weekend. Just play a drinking game.
But I think they're saying 3 times in a row.
Play a drinking game.
Okay. You're gonna get really drunk. You're gonna get really drunk.
It'll get. Figure out but it'll get better each time.
I was considering saying Batman Robin just for the fact that maybe it's just funnier and entertaining that way, but it is a horrible, horrendous movie.
Yeah, it's some of the worst acting I've ever seen. It's
almost killed the Batman franchise.
It did. It did. Yeah. Congratulations.
All right, what's next?
Justin Lee writes, "So when filmmakers go into making a film, of course they go into thinking that this has the potential of being a great film. But at a certain point during post-production, the composer has seen the actual scenes that we put together, the editor has seen and put together all the scenes, the sound department has seen all the scenes and synced the sound to them. You have all these people that have pretty much seen what the movie will look like. Shouldn't at some point on movies like Spider-Man 3 or movie 43, where the majority dislikes the film, one of those people say, this is not a great film. Keep up the good work, guys."
Okay, so the key word here is post-production. It's at the end of the movie. I mean, you can't see, by the time you're at that stage and you're editing it and the director sees it and the producers see it, it's already, it's practically done. You have all the time, the energy, the money, especially the money, it's already been spent. All the marketing campaigns are ready to go. What are you gonna do? I mean, you see a movie, you're like, at the end of the day, you're like, oh, that wasn't that good. I mean, what's the most you can do is maybe scale back some of the marketing, change it up a little bit. But after all that money spent, you can't do much about it. This reminds me, every time there's a discussion about this reminds me of I don't know if you guys have ever seen, Jon Favreau used to do a show called Dinner for Five, where he would get a bunch of actors and filmmakers together. They'd converse about the industry and talk about their experiences and all that stuff. And he had one episode with Michael Rappaport, Sarah Silverman, I think a couple other people. And what they talked about was how do you know? When you're in a movie, either you're directing it, writing it, or you're starring it, how do you know you're in a good movie? You're hoping it's a good movie, but at the end of the day, they likened it to like a basketball on the rim, whether it's going to fall in or it's going to fall out. You really can't tell towards the end. I don't know. Do you guys think any differently, Trey?
No, I'm with you. You know, I've heard actors say where they've gotten a script and they're in the movie, and you know, they on script, on paper, it sounds great, and they're in the middle of shooting it and they're going, I had no idea what this movie's about. And that's not a good sign. So I've heard them say that, and that's in the middle of production. It's like, we're not really shooting what's on the paper here. What's kind of going on? So, but right, when you get to the end, man, you're screwed. So the only thing you can do is video on demand and not do any marketing, which is why I don't understand when, Keanu Reeves' most recent movie came out. You knew
47 Ronin?
Yeah, 47 Ronin. You knew that was going to bomb.
Yeah,
you just knew it was going to bomb. Why they put any advertising into it at all? They should have just went, well, we're going to scrape this underneath the mat for a while, and we're just going to release it on video on demand. But no, they blew through another, $50 million worth of advertising, which was asinine.
Yeah. What do you think, David?
I think this reminds me of the story of Alien 3. With David Fincher directing when he was very young, who we all know does amazing movies with The Social Network, Seven, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Amazing director. This was his first big budget project. And what he was saying, he doesn't even really take interviews. He doesn't even really discuss Alien 3. He's kind of just forgotten about it. But what Sigourney Weaver and the other cast members were noticing is that everybody was just following him around set. He had a couple producers just watching over him, making sure they didn't mess up their baby, their Alien franchise. And he had a horrible time. He left the set before post-production started. He left. And I think it just shows there's so many moving parts. Sometimes it works out. Like, let's look at World War Z last year. We heard a lot of horror stories about that. Reshoots, $200 million plus budget. David Lindelof came in, rewrote the third act, but it actually ended up being a decent film.
Yeah.
So sometimes people do catch things and it works, but not all the time. Sometimes it's just, there's just too many moving pieces, and it, like a car or any mechanical thing, it just breaks apart.
Well, I'm glad you brought up that point about the moving pieces, because that's also another element where you have, well, the actor, he's set to do this part. The screenwriter does this part. Really, the director is the one that's kind of overseeing it. That's why he takes the credit and the blame for a movie when it comes out. It's like, obviously producers have something to do with that as well, but he's the guy that has the vision and is supposed to look over everything. And so, yeah, if it doesn't turn out well, he's kind of the guy.
He's like the coach of a sports team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, he's the captain of the ship. Everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
too bad.
and there's got to be one person that's got to be accountable for everybody. Unfortunately, a lot of times it is the director.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So that's the end of the mailbag section. We're gonna take your live questions now. You can tweet us at AMC Movie News, and Ashley will pick out a few of these. So Ashley, what do we got?
Matthew Shane Allen writes, with a majority negative feedback for the new TMNT, how bad would it hurt the franchise if this movie bombs at the box office?
I think pretty bad, because it's been a while since the last movie, and they've been doing like these animated movies and animated series and stuff like that, and so they've been trying to build towards it. So if it does bomb or does lukewarm, I'm not sure if they want to take another chance with it.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I was surprised that they came back out again with it. I mean, I loved the original one, the first one when I was much younger and saw it the movie. I thought that was really cool. And then all of a sudden, Vanilla Ice shows up. And I'm like, why? And so I've never been a huge fan of the franchise, but this one kind of looks a little darker, a little more. Maybe more fun, adult, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's sad because Turtles is huge. I mean, I was little. I remember in the '90s watching the animated series. Teenage Mutant Ninja, all that. I used to love that. And I mean, the first one was great. MC Hammer soundtrack. Second one, Vanilla Ice soundtrack.
Sorry,
man. Come on, Secret of the Ooze. I mean, just great, iconic music and
Dance Ninja, dance.
But also, what they did is they had great character actors, especially in the first one. I can't remember. Of course, I can't remember her name, but the actress who plays April O'Neil is still busy working today. She gets a lot of work on TV. Casey, another great actor. I mean, there's just, it wasn't take itself too seriously. It just kind of had fun. This one looks like it's trying to be huge. When Turtles first came out, I don't think it was trying to be huge. It was just like, here's some Turtles, and have some fun. But this movie looks like, I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about it. I hope it's good. I want it to be good, but I am worried.
You think it may go in the opposite direction, where when it first came out, it was very humorous and fun.
Yeah, just fun.
And now it's starting to go kind of what we talked about. The route of Superman.
Right, dark.
It started out fun, and now it's just progressively getting more dark.
I hope not.
We got another question.
Tyler Myers writes, if you guys had to see only one film this summer, what film would it be?
Oh, that's a tough one. Oh, man. David, any thoughts on that?
Oh, no, Blake. No.
I mean, you have Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, Noah was actually, I saw Noah last night, and it was one of my most anticipated movies, but that's not a summer movie, so I'm trying to think. Man.
Oh, so that's tough. I would have to probably go with probably Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
I really want to see that. I love the first one. I love the look of it. I like Andrew Garfield as kind of the more, emo, hip kind of Spider-Man. I like him. I like the direction. I can't wait to see all these villains. I think they're actually going to be able to pull off 3 villains in a movie, unlike Spider-Man 3, Sam Raimi's version. So I'm excited to see that one. Amazing Spider-Man for me.
If you count X-Men Days of Future Past as a summer movie, then that would be it for me. Because I think it comes out in May, right?
It's May, yeah.
Okay, so we're talking summer.
Yeah.
Not like in a couple weeks.
What about you? Guardians of the Galaxy?
No, I mean, I'm with you with Spider-Man, but if I had to pick any movie from today on, Captain America.
Okay. I've been hearing great things about it. I know that John, Amy Rose, and some other people that I know, just all positive things about it. So I'm actually seeing it this Monday.
Yep.
Oh, I want to see it.
All right, Ashley, any other questions?
Joseph Liocono writes, could we see Marvel cameos in Incredibles 2?
That's an interesting question. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Possibly.
How cool would that be?
That'd be great.
But not in the sense of like a character coming out and like saying something. But I think in the background. I think in the background of something, you'll see maybe some Marvel characters there. And I think because it's animated, they can do any character they want. They don't have to be limited to just the ones they own for live action, because people forget that they lost the licenses for those live action movies, but I think they still own the rights for all the animated stuff. So you could see potentially some characters that Marvel Studios doesn't own in them.
I love that idea, man.
I do too. I think it's
so
great.
cool. Little Easter eggs here and there.
Well, especially because The Incredibles, of all the Pixar movies that have come out lately, is the one most deserving of a sequel, I think. I mean, Cars, we're getting to Cars 3. It's like, okay, that's fine. Joe Lasseter loves that franchise. She's going to put money in that franchise. That's fine. But, I mean, The Incredibles is built for a trilogy, at least. It's superheroes. Come on. So it'd be great to see some Marvel heroes thrown in.
Yeah, and it's about time.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's taken this long for that to come out again, but I'm very happy.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Cars 3. I think they like that they're selling a lot of Cars merchandise for it, and that's why they keep making them.
Airplane, boat,
Yeah, exactly.
Train.
Ashley, any more questions?
Yeah, Stephen Von G writes, why won't there be another Step Brothers movie?
I don't know. I haven't really heard anything about it. I wouldn't mind seeing one. I thought Step Brothers was pretty funny. I mean, it's not my favorite Will Ferrell movie, but I think as I've seen it more and more, it gets funnier and funnier, so it has staying power.
Right.
So I would like to see one. And with those two characters, you could do almost anything with them. You could set them up and take them to another, state or country and have different jobs, and I think it'd be funny. What about you?
I think it's used to see John C. Reilly. I'm in. I'm in.
Exactly. Do a road movie out of them, where they have to travel across country with each other. There's all kinds of things that could happen.
Yeah.
Sick things.
Any more questions?
Yeah, Tyler Myers writes, what was the last movie that made you guys cry?
Oh, I know that.
Oh, man, I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to be like macho or anything. I get teary-eyed when I watch certain movies.
I do too.
But I don't know about crying. That's a different thing. Like I get teary-eyed when I see stuff, but not that full-on, oh my God.
I think for me, it was Beast of the Southern Wild. I watched that on a plane last year. It was actually it was after Thanksgiving. I remember I was flying home from seeing my sister in New York, and I was watching it on a plane, of course, in the aisle seat, and I'm watching. I won't spoil anything. There's very emotional moments from that little girl. Does such a, I don't want to butcher her name. I don't know how to say, but she's Quanvazel. But she's great, and I remember tears started coming down my eyes, and I'm sitting there in the plane, just trying to bat. I was like, what's this guy watching? But it was just such a good movie. I love that movie, Beast of Southern Wild.
I can't remember to where I've just.
So you got a cold heart.
No, it's not that at all. Here's anytime that there are movies that are, I get emotional in films, but I'm trying to think. The one that What's funny is I have to prepare myself. I know I'll be a mess during that one, and I have it at home sitting on a shelf, and I haven't watched it because I know how good it is. I'm like, I just gotta prepare myself. You know, I think of like what Precious. I was emotional in. You know, every time I see Forrest Gump, you know, I'm emotional when he's like talking to Jenny and in the grave scene. You know, I mean, you know, I can't even. I just saw a Korean film that came out not too long ago. It's actually kind of a thriller called The Chaser, and I was emotional at the end of that. You know, so
It's hard.
It's hard. I can't put my finger on.
Let it out. Yeah. Let it out.
12 Years a Slave.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
I remember.
It was hard to watch.
That's those are like. I have to prepare myself. I already know that I'm going to be a mess.
Yeah, the end of 12 Years a Slave was pretty emotional. You know?
Well, the thing is, you and I saw 12 Years a Slave, then we went to go see The Hunger Games Catching Fire, and I was so drained of emotion. I'm like, I just don't have any emotion left in me. I can't emote. I'm done. I'm done.
It's been torn right out of me.
Well, it's a little hard when you see something portraying the real thing, and then in Hunger Games, it's made up.
The fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Oof.
Ashley, what about you? What was the last movie you cried on?
I cry at everything. Literally every movie I
Horror
cry.
movies.
I'm so emotional. Horror movies,
Avengers.
I even cried in the last Thor. Like when the mom.
When the mom.
I didn't want to give a spoiler there.
Okay.
Yeah, I cry at everything. I'm a girly girl. Okay. More questions? More questions?
Let's do one more. Let's do one more question.
Chris DeLatin writes, do you see the 50 Shades of Grey movie bombing, as the comments so far make it seem like the movie is tame and rom-com-y?
Yeah, I think it's late for the 50 Shades of Grey thing.
I think so too.
It had its time, and it's kind of passing by, and I don't think it's gonna do very well. I think that the audience for that is shrinking every day. So.
I think so too. I think you gotta go. You can't be tame with it. If you, I think you almost have to make it in an NC-17 or not rated to entice people out of curiosity to go see it. Because I agree with you. I think that the ship sailed.
What about you? Did you, David, read 50 Shades of Grey?
What? No, I've never heard of that book. No, I admit I did read the first book. I heard all the ladies talking about, this is so hot and sexy, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? So I wanted to check it out, and I read it. It is definitely geared for women, but I still enjoyed it. I mean, it reads like Twilight. I mean, you can just fly through the book. You can just read it in like 2 or 3 days. I think it has lost some of its momentum. Of course, I'm blanking. I watched, so I love Sons of Anarchy, and I can't think of the actor's name.
Right.
That they had originally cast.
Charlie Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam. When they had him, I was like, wow, he's kind of dark and like scruffy. I was like, maybe he could be an interesting Christian Grey, but now that they changed, then he backed out. I'm like, okay, now the movie, I don't know. Not that I was hyped for it, but I would have seen it.
Yeah.
I would have seen it.
Okay. All right, guys.
A year ago.
Right.
All right, guys, so that's it for today. I want to thank, to my right, David. Thanks for being on the show. Where can people find you?
So you're going to be able to find me at screenrant.com, where I write reviews. We also have, I want to mention, we have a new feature up right now, written by our very own Andrew Dice, about the top 10 movie and TV weapons that we would like to see science create in real life, which is a really cool feature. So come check that out. I'm also with Dennis. I work with Dennis at thinkhero.com. We do movie reviews, TV reviews, all those kind of things there, too. So those are the places you can find me, and on Twitter, at GriffinDE.
And Trey, where can people find you?
I'm at fandango.com. You can see a lot of my video interviews.
Do you have a Twitter handle?
I do have a Twitter handle. It is Trey Movies. Trey Movies.
That's a good one.
You thought there was more to it.
Yeah, Trey Alex Movies, actually. I'm so used to saying my website, which is Trey Alexander Online.
Okay.
So.
And I want to thank Ashley for being on the show. Where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Ashley Mova. Happy Friday, guys. Yeah.
And you can find me on Twitter at ThinkHeroR, on YouTube, ThinkHero Pro. Make sure to subscribe to the AMC Movie channel. It's youtube.com/AMC Theaters. And also remember to check out all the movies coming out. I just saw Noah last night. I thought it was fantastic. We had Noah, we have Sabotage, we have Cesar Chavez. I think that's the right pronunciation. So we have all those movies. You can go to amctheaters.com and check out the tickets and scheduling for that. So until next week, we'll see. John is coming back from Vegas, and Schnepp too. So John's going to be back hosting, and Schnepp's going to be on the show next week. So I'll see you guys then.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news, and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.